The moment I stepped into the backyard, I knew my family had already decided tonight was going to be their show, and I was the joke. The grill popped. Music thumped from someone's speaker. People laughed too loud. My dad stood in the center like a king on a plastic patio chair, holding court with a drink in one hand and a story in the other. And when he saw me, his eyes lit up, not with warmth, with opportunity. "There she is," he announced, loud enough to pull every head in my direction. "Our little princess." My aunt snorted into her cup. My cousin Jaden smirked. Even my stepmom, Lacey, tilted her head like she was enjoying a movie. I forced a polite smile and walked toward the table, keeping my shoulders steady. I'd learned in this house that showing emotion was like throwing meat into a pen of hungry dogs. Dad clapped his hands once. "Okay, since everybody's here, let's talk about something." My stomach tightened. He didn't ask. He didn't lower his voice. He didn't care that I'd just arrived. He wanted an audience. He pointed his drink at me. "You're grown, Madison. 26, still living here. So, here's the deal. Either you start paying rent like an adult, or you can pack and get out." The backyard went silent for a heartbeat. Then laughter broke out in uneven bursts. Not everyone laughed, though. Some people just watched. The kind of watching that feels worse. I didn't blink. I didn't argue. I didn't give him the reaction he wanted. I just nodded once. "Okay." That single word wiped the smile off his face. Dad's eyebrows pinched. "Okay." "Yeah," I said calmly like he'd asked me what time it was. "Okay." Lacey's mouth curled. "Don't act tough, Maddie. You'd be lost without us." I almost laughed at that. Without them, I was the reason half this house still worked. But I didn't say it. Not out here. Not in front of their little crowd. I turned, walked inside, and let the screen door slam behind me. In the hallway, the noise from the barbecue faded, and my chest finally expanded like I'd been holding my breath underwater. I went straight to my room, shut the door, and pulled out my phone. One tap, then another. A list opened. My list: electric, water, internet, streaming, phone plan, all under my name, all on my card. Because 6 months ago, when Dad's rough patch started, I stepped in quietly like I always did. "Just for a little while," he'd said. Little while turned into me paying everything while they strutted around pretending they were fine. And tonight he had the nerve to tell the world I was freeloading. My phone buzzed. A message from Dad. "We're serious. Don't test me." I stared at it and something in me went cold, but not in a cruel way. In a clear way, like a switch flipping. I opened my email and searched one word: approved. There it was. A lease approval I'd kept to myself for a reason. A downtown high-rise unit, corner balcony, the kind of view people post when they've made it out. I didn't get it by luck. I got it by working late nights while my own family acted like my life was a joke. Outside, I heard more laughter. Dad telling another story, probably about how kids these days think they deserve everything. I sat on the edge of my bed, looked at my list again, and whispered, almost amused, "You want rent?" I smiled, small and controlled. "Okay." Then I opened the utilities apps and logged in one by one just to confirm what I already knew. Everything was in my name, meaning everything could be taken back, not to hurt innocent people, not to be petty, but to stop being used. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel scared. I felt ready. Because tomorrow morning wasn't going to be another argument. Tomorrow morning was going to be a picture of you. Proof. And once they saw it, that backyard laughter would die in their throats. I stood up, grabbed a small bag from my closet, and started packing only what mattered. Not because I was running away, because I was finally walking into the life I built in silence. And they were about to learn something they should have learned years ago. You don't humiliate the person holding the lights on. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I was scared, because my mind wouldn't stop moving. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured my father's face at the grill. The way he laughed like the world belonged to him. The way he looked at me like I was temporary. By sunrise, my decision felt carved in stone. I showered quietly, dressed in simple black jeans and a white blouse, and carried 2 bags out to my car before anyone woke up. The house was still, like it didn't know what was coming. I paused at the front door for half a second, not out of sadness, but habit. Years of waiting for permission don't disappear overnight. Then I left. Downtown traffic was already alive when I pulled into the garage of my new building. The security gate lifted smoothly. Clean concrete, bright lighting, no rust, no apologies. The attendant nodded at me like I belonged there because I did. The elevator rose silently. Numbers climbing. When the doors opened, sunlight poured down the hall like it had been waiting. I unlocked the door to Unit 2904 and stepped inside. The city unfolded in front of me. Glass walls, morning sky, buildings stretching into distance like proof. I walked straight to the balcony, slid the door open, and let the air hit my face. It smelled like coffee, movement, possibility. I didn't cry. I laughed just once, soft. Then I pulled out my phone. I didn't tag anyone. I didn't write a caption. I didn't explain. I took one picture. The city below. My reflection faint in the glass. The balcony rail in the foreground. I posted it. Within seconds, notifications started popping up. Likes, messages, questions. Wait, where is this? Did you move? That view is insane. I locked my phone and went back inside because the picture wasn't the point. The timing was. Back in the suburbs, my father woke up to a house that suddenly felt wrong. It started small. The internet went out first. Marissa stood in the kitchen tapping her phone, annoyed. Richard, the Wi-Fi down again. Dad grunted from the couch. Reset it. She tried. Nothing. Then the TV cut off mid-morning show. The screen went black. Are you kidding me? Dad snapped, grabbing the remote. What did you do? I didn't do anything, Marissa said sharply. Call the provider. He did. And that's when the truth started unraveling. Sir, the customer service rep said, voice polite but firm. This account was canceled early this morning. Dad frowned. That's impossible. It was authorized by the account holder. His stomach dropped. Electricity flickered next, just enough to notice. Then the water pressure dipped. Not gone yet, but weaker. Unreliable. Dad stood in the kitchen. Phone pressed his ear. Anger rising. Who authorized this? The rep paused. Madison Carter. Silence filled the room. Marissa's face strained. What? Dad ended the call slowly. No yelling, no jokes, just shock. He opened his phone. That's when he saw my post. No caption, just the view. He stared at it for a long time, like it was written in a language he didn't understand. This can't be real, Marissa whispered. She can't afford that. Dad's hands trembled as he refreshed the screen. Comments flooded in. Old coworkers, neighbors, even my Aunt Sharon. Wow, Madison. Proud of you. Proud. A word my father had never used for me. My phone buzzed while I unpacked dishes. Dad. I let it ring. Then Marissa. Ignored. Then my cousin Jaden. I sighed and finally answered on speaker while setting a mug into the cabinet. What do you want? I asked calmly. What did you do? Dad demanded. No laughter this time. No audience. I moved out, I said. Like you asked. You canceled the utilities? Marissa snapped. You can't just. I can, I said. They were in my name. Dad's voice hardened. You're being dramatic. I laughed, not bitter, not loud, just honest. Dramatic was humiliating me in front of everyone, I said. This is just paperwork. Silence again. Then Dad tried a different tone. Madison, let's talk this through. You don't have to make things difficult. I leaned against my counter, city humming behind me. I didn't, I said. I made things fair. Another pause. Turn them back on, he said. We'll forget the rent thing. I shook my head even though he couldn't see it. No. Marissa scoffed. So, you're punishing us now? I answered evenly. I stopped paying for a house I don't live in. Dad exhaled sharply. You think you're better than us now? I looked out at the skyline, sunlight reflecting off glass and steel. No, I said. I think I finally stopped letting you decide who I am. I ended the call. My hands didn't shake. My chest didn't tighten. I finished unpacking, brewed coffee, and sat on my balcony as the city moved below me, alive, loud, and unapologetic. By noon, the family group chat was silent. No jokes, no demands, just the quiet realization that the person they mocked had been holding everything together. And now I wasn't holding anything anymore except my peace. By the afternoon, the silence from my family felt heavier than their insults ever had. No messages, no calls, just a strange calm like the air after a storm when everything is still trying to figure out what broke. I sat at my kitchen island with my laptop open, pretending to work. But my eyes kept drifting to the city outside. Cars streamed along the streets far below. People living their lives without knowing mine had just shifted completely. For the first time, I didn't feel like I had to explain myself to anyone. Around 3 o'clock, my phone buzzed again. No caller ID. I knew exactly who it was. I let it ring twice before answering. "Hello, Madison." Dad said, his voice quieter now. "Careful. We need to talk." "We already did." I replied. "This isn't funny anymore," he said. "The power company says they need a deposit. A big one. And the water." "I know," I said. "I've paid those deposits before." He paused like he'd forgotten that detail. Marissa's voice jumped in, sharp but strained. "So what? You're just going to let your family struggle?" I closed my laptop. "I let myself struggle for years so you wouldn't." "That's not fair," Dad snapped. I didn't raise my voice. Neither was calling me a freeloader. Silence followed. I imagined them standing in the kitchen. The same one I used to scrub while they watched TV. The same kitchen where I was told I should be grateful for a roof I paid to keep standing. Dad cleared his throat. "Look, maybe we were harsh, but you embarrassed us online." I almost smiled. "I didn't say a word," I said. "I posted a view." "That's worse," Marissa muttered. "Everyone's asking questions." "Good," I said. "They should." Dad sighed long and heavy. "So, what do you want?" There it was. The question he never asked until he needed something. "I want respect," I said simply. "Not rent demands," shouted across a backyard. "Not jokes at my expense and not silence when I'm the one keeping things running." He didn't answer right away. In that pause, I realized something important. This wasn't about money anymore. It was about control. "I raised you," Dad finally said. "And I appreciate what you did when I was a kid," I replied. "But raising someone doesn't mean you get to humiliate them forever." Marissa scoffed. "You're acting like a victim." "No," I said calmly. "I'm acting like an adult." Another long silence. Then Dad said quieter than before. "Can we come by and talk?" I stared at the glass door leading to my balcony. At the sun dipping lower, painting the buildings gold. "No," I said. "Not here." "What?" Marissa snapped. "This is my home," I said. "I don't want this energy in it." Dad sounded frustrated now. "So that's it? You cut us off." I thought of my brother Noah. "I didn't cut everyone off," I said. "Just the bills." That seemed to confuse him. "I told Noah he can call me anytime," I continued. "He didn't laugh at me. He didn't use me." Marissa muttered something under her breath. Dad inhaled sharply. "You're tearing this family apart." I smiled, but there was no joy in it. "No, Dad." I stopped holding it together by myself. I ended the call before he could respond. I sat still for a moment, heart steady, and then I felt it, a wave of sadness. Not sharp, not overwhelming, just quiet. Mourning the idea of a family I'd always hoped they'd become. But sadness didn't mean regret. Later that evening, I met my friend Claire for dinner. She'd been the only one who knew about the apartment before today. When she stepped onto my balcony, she gasped. "Maddie," she breathed. "You did this." I nodded. "Yeah." She turned to me, eyes shining. "I'm proud of you." The words landed deeper than I expected. My throat tightened. "Thanks," I said softly. She leaned against the railing. "Your family's blowing up the group chat, by the way." I laughed. I muted it. "Good." Over dinner, I told her everything. The barbecue, the demand, the utilities, the calls. She listened without interrupting, shaking her head slowly. "They didn't see you," she said when I finished. "Not really." "I know," I replied. "But I see myself now." That night, when I got home, my phone lit up again. A message from my Aunt Sharon. "I'm sorry for laughing. I didn't know you were paying for everything. You didn't deserve that." I stared at the screen. Then another message came in from my dad. Short. "No jokes." No excuses. I shouldn't have said that. I crossed a line. It wasn't a full apology, but it was a crack. I set my phone down and walked to the balcony. The city was darker now. Lights blinking on like constellations. I wrapped my arms around myself, not in defense, but comfort. For the first time, I wasn't bracing for the next insult. I was choosing what I allowed in my life. And tomorrow would decide whether my family could learn that lesson, too. The next morning felt different. Not dramatic, not heavy, just clear. I woke up before my alarm. Sunlight spilling across the floor. The city already moving below me. For once, my first thought wasn't about what I owed anyone. It was about what I wanted. Coffee brewed quietly while I scrolled through my phone. The family group chat was still muted, but one message slipped through because it was from Noah. "Can we talk today?" I smiled. "Anytime." I texted back. "You're always welcome here." A few minutes later, another message came in. This time from Dad. "Can we meet? Just you and me." I stared at the screen for a moment. Old habits whispered at me. "Be careful. Don't make him angry. Keep the peace." But those habits didn't get to decide anymore. "Public place," I replied. "Lunch." He agreed almost instantly. We met at a small cafe near his office. Nothing fancy. Neutral ground. When I walked in, he was already there, sitting straighter than usual, hands folded like he was preparing for a meeting instead of seeing his daughter. He looked smaller, not weak, just human. "Madison," he said, standing halfway. "You look well." "I am," I replied, sitting across from him. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he exhaled. "I messed up." I waited. "I shouldn't have joked like that," he continued. "I shouldn't have put you on the spot, and I didn't realize how much you were doing." I met his eyes. "You didn't want to realize." He nodded slowly. "You're right." That admission mattered more than any apology. "I don't want money from you," he said quickly. "We'll figure things out." "I know," I said. "And I'm glad because I don't want to pay my way into being respected." He flinched, but didn't argue. "I want us to be better," he said quietly. "If that's still possible." I thought about it, about the years of silence, about the laughter at the barbecue, about the peace I felt now. "It's possible," I said. "But it's going to look different." He nodded again. "I can accept that." When we stood to leave, he hesitated, then said, "I'm proud of you." The words weren't perfect, but they were real. That afternoon, Noah came over. He stepped onto my balcony like he was afraid it might disappear. "This is insane," he said, grinning. "You really did it." I ruffled his hair. "You always knew I would." He shrugged. "I just didn't think they'd push you this far." "They won't again," I said. Over the next week, things shifted. Dad and Marissa figured out their bills. No one asked me for money. The group chat changed tone. Less jokes, more caution. Some relatives apologized. Others stayed quiet, and I was okay with that because my life wasn't about convincing them anymore. One evening, as the sun dipped low, I stood on my balcony again. The same one that started everything. I took another picture, this time of my coffee mug resting on the railing, the city glowing behind it. I didn't post it. I didn't need to. The real victory wasn't the view. It was waking up in a place where no one laughed at my worth. Where my help was a choice, not an obligation. Where my silence had turned into strength. I wasn't running away. I had arrived. And this time I wasn't paying rent to stay in my own life.